There's always a lot of noise when it comes to the real estate market. A lot of people have their opinions, their thoughts, but it's really not backed by much other than just their own 2 cents. And so, in this video, if you're looking for factual evidence of what's happening here in the Abbotsford market, well, you've come to the right video because I'm a guy who loves the stats, loves the figures, and really have a bunch of tools that aid you in figuring out what would make the most sense depending on what season of real estate we're in. And so, what I want to do today is just again go over all the numbers, go over the facts, show you what's happening here in Abbotsford, and then I want to show you a couple real estate tools that are an absolute game changer when it comes to just all things real estate. So if you're interested in real estate, you're going to find these tools handy. But the first thing I want to show you is just this graph here. This is on my website. Again, this is another thing that I don't like is that a lot of the information is behind an email, behind closed doors. You got to go through somebody to get it. Here, as I'm going to show you here, a lot of great graphs to show you what's happening here. And so what I want to first do is just talk about the Abbotsford market as a whole, what's happening here in a broad scope, and then get more granular when it comes to the detached, the townhomes, and the condos. So if you're interested in something like that, wait a little bit longer, learn about the Abbotsford market, or if you want, just skip to those sections instead. And so right now, the median sale price, and this is over 20 some odd years. And so I'm just gonna bring it back down to 3 years here. Actually, let's go 5 years. And as you can see, the last spike here, and ever since 2023, and this is a medium home price, and so it's not the best representation, excuse me, of what's happening, but ever since 2023, prices have been sliding downwards on a consistent basis. Now, when it comes to sales here, we're in the middle of the year right now, and so it's interesting because the human psychology of people buying real estate, it's the exact same thing that happens every year. And what do I mean? Well, have a look at this graph here that I'm showing you. 2026, we have an initial spike, and then it kind of continues to go up, and we can kind of see that as well here. Initial spike, and then the summer comes, and then basically the summertime. Sorry, nobody wants to do anything, and then the fall happens. People want to essentially do something before winter flies, and then once winter happens, nobody wants to do anything when it comes to sales. So you can kind of see that, right? Beginning of the year, nothing happens. Initial hump, and then there was another little one here before it really plateaued off. And every year is obviously going to be different, but for the most part, the trends are going to be the same, right? So initially, it's going to go up. Summertime happens, nobody wants to do anything, and then fall comes around, and people want to start doing things again. And so that's where we are right now. And so we're basically heading into the summer where there's going to be less sales. And so if you're currently trying to sell your house and it's in the market, well, just be ready for less sales because there's less buyers out right now wanting to do anything because people are out just enjoying the summer holidays. Now, when it comes to new listings, again, it's hysterical looking at these graphs because it's exactly the same thing that's happening every year. New listings are where it's at. So you can kind of see, we're basically, there's not going to be a massive increase. Now, there's still going to be new listings that hit the market. There's still going to be buyers that, every single month there's new buyers coming to the market. It just means like the trends, we're going to be seeing kind of similar new listings happening over the next couple of months. Then there's going to be probably a slight increase during the fall, and then it's going to plummet again here. So expect that. Active listings, we're not as high as last year, but when we look at the overall trend here, and this is back to 2005, you can see we're starting to climb up, not as near as big as back in 2008 to 12, but the inventory is climbing more. So if you're a buyer, this basically just means you have more options to go around and basically look. And so right now, sales to active listings ratio, and again, this is a ratio, it kind of explains itself, but how many sales happen for how many actives there are. And so as you can see on the side here, we're at 14.5%. It's claiming that it's a balanced market. And if you actually just click on this icon here, it kind of shows you more information. So if you're using this graph on your own, there's actually a legend up here you can click, talks about what all these mean, because you may not know what these mean. So all that to say, we're in a balanced market, and the board deems it's a balanced market if it's between 12 and 20%. It's a seller's market if it's above 20. It's a buyer's market if it's below 12. And basically, to put it in simple form, if you had 100 homes and only 12 sold that month, or below 12 sold that month, you have a buyer's market because there's not too many things selling. And so then basically buyers have the upper hand, 12 to 20%. Again, that's a balanced market. And then if there's more than 20 homes out of 100 selling each month, well, then essentially we have a seller's market because there's more people chasing the same amount of goods. And so typically what happens is the more that it's a seller's market, prices tend to go up. The more that it's a buyer's market, the prices tend to go down. So keep that in mind. Days on market, this is always an interesting one. I had a conversation with a listing appointment. What's happening here, right? And so right now, on average, 25 days essentially to sell your home. So if you're thinking about selling your home right now in Abbotsford, this is definitely something to keep in mind. Again, this is all properties, so we're gonna get into the more detailed different segments here in a sec. So, and then percentage off original price. This is always an interesting one for buyers, right? Buyers ask me all the time, how much money can I get off? Is this a low ball offer? Is this not enough? And well, we just look at the averages, right? And so we have 97.2% off the list, or the original price, I should say. And so if you had $1 million homes, that's just about $30,000 off of that price. And so when you're thinking about making offers on properties, this is exactly what the kind of offer I would say. And so that's the overall market. That's what's happening here as a whole. I want to get more granular now when it comes to the detached market here. And as you can see, the HPI price, again, this is over the last 20 some odd years. We had the initial spike in COVID, and then it kind of hard corrected down, and then it kind of corrected back up. And now we're kind of in this, like I said before, this gradual decline here. And so, you know, people always ask, what do you think the market's going to be doing over the next little while? Well, with most certainty, we can say, like, hey, based on what's happening, prices will most likely continue to drop here in 2026 and, you know, potentially even in 2027. And so that's the detached. And then when it comes to sales, again, well, let me just zoom in here, the 5 year, 26 years is a lot of data to consume. So again, over the last couple of years here, it's been, you know, if you want to call this the new norm, well, it's been doing exactly that. There's nothing too crazy. Basically, we're going to see similar sales over the next couple of months, probably a little increase during the September months, and then next to nothing, you know, in the fall here. And so again, new listings, it's following the exact same trends. Active listings, more or less the same thing. Whether it's a buyer's market, well, it says right now it's a balanced market. So there's people out there basically buying detached homes. So keep that in mind. And then days on market, it's actually 23 days, which is a little bit less than the average. And so again, keep that in mind when you're thinking about selling your home. If your home hasn't sold in 14 days or 2 weeks, you're wondering what the heck's going on. Well, the average is 23. So just keep that in mind. Percentage of original price, you're getting about 4% off, which is a little bit more than the average here when it comes to, you know, the Abbotsford market as a whole. And so that's the detached market. And actually, what I want to do here is I'm just going to add them all here. Maybe not. That gets a little confusing here. And so, yeah, we'll do townhomes next here. Yeah, over the last 5 years, again, we're seeing prices continue to decline. No surprise there. And then when we do the condo market as well, you know, same things are happening. So if you're, you know, waiting for prices to continue going up, you're thinking about selling your townhome or your house or your condo, you might be waiting for a bit. And so the question always lies is, do you wait long enough to see that return? But then I guess the other thing here is you got to think about is that, well, if I'm buying in a down market, or sorry, if I'm selling in a down market, I'm also going to be buying in a down market. So it's just kind of some food for thought here when it comes to that. And so sales, let's go back here. Yeah, we're actually seeing an uptick, a little bit more sales than we've seen in the past couple of years here. And that's, again, condos, new listings. You know, again, we're seeing, this one's a little more interesting as far as the trends go. There's less new listings happening here when it comes to the condo market. Let me just compare it to the townhouse market. So the townhouse market's kind of doing the same thing. If I just compare it to, and so just to kind of for extra context here, this is the detached. That's the thinnest line is the condos, and the medium line is the townhomes here. Active listings, again, everything's been going upwards. Sales active listings ratio, I'm just going to put them all together here. Basically, condos are having the most activity right now, then townhomes and detached, which is kind of interesting actually. More condos there's more interesting condos these days, and that kind of translates again with the sales. Like sales are almost as high as detached market right now, and there's going to be as far as active listings, like there's the least is the townhomes. There's more condos than townhomes and detached, so super interesting. Days on market, townhomes. This is kind of the one to keep an eye on. So if you have a townhome, it's 13 days on market is the projected time that it's going to take to sell. So if you have one of those, you're doing pretty good. Then the original price, again, we talked about the detached being 4%, and the big one here is the apartments, almost just over 5% off. So it's a substantial amount of money. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about putting in offers on condos for that matter. So that's just a quick overview of what's happening here in the Abbotsford market. I just want to make it quick, effective. These videos don't need to be this long. The only other thing I want to show you here, again, this is my website. You can go to this graph here. I'll put a link in the description, but there's just some other tools here. Market reports, which is actually down here as well. So if you want any of these market reports sent to you on a monthly basis, you literally just pick these, select the ones you want, you can get it immediately. Now, if you don't want to download it and you just want to look at it, you can literally go to the market reports, hit up the Abbotsford one, it'll load up, and then essentially you can just look at it where it's got some simple stats up top, prices, what's happening across the board, days on market, sale price versus original price, things that sellers and you as buyers would want to know. Just a nice graph here kind of articulating what's been happening over the last couple of years. And then again, if you want those reports, you can just click there. The other thing I wanted to show you too is the free just instant home valuation. Literally, you just put your address in here. So if you're curious about selling your home and you're wondering when it would sell, you don't got to talk to anybody. You literally just hit this information. What I will say is myself or my business partner, Clark, we'll be reaching out to you. Again, it's not just to try and sell you anything, just to see if you need any help. So go check that out. It's super slick. And then the other one here is just a true home cost calculator. I literally had a story or overheard a story last week where a person bought a house and didn't understand the full cost of home ownership. It's one thing to understand the cost of buying, or if you're trying to sell your house, but it's really the own. Like, how much does it cost to own a home? Because the last thing you want to do is, financially, the bank says you can do that, and the mortgage broker says you can do that, but what's your lifestyle going to be after you purchase a home? And so in this breakdown, it literally goes over all the costs for selling a home. If you were to sell your home, all the costs involved in buying a home, your net proceeds, or not net proceeds, but how much it would cost you. And then the ownership tab, which is like, how much is it costing you monthly? And you can basically fill out all this information. If you have a stratified property, great, you can put it in there. If not, no need to fill it out. And so go check those tools out. It's quite beneficial if you're thinking about buying or selling, or if you're just curious on what's happening here in the real estate market. But now, if you are checking out homes, going to open houses, doing all that fun stuff, I want to encourage you to watch this video right here. It's how to spot a bad house in 60 seconds, where I literally go over things that you should be looking for when viewing these homes so that you can be educated and buying the right home. So go check that out. But as always, I appreciate you watching, sticking around with me, and I'll see you in the next one.